What if I told you Cheap Trick destroyed itself without ever breaking up? No drugs, no screaming matches, no famous backstage fistfight. Just one quiet decision that slowly erased the soul of the band. And the craziest part is, the guy they pushed out was not just the drummer. He was the reason the whole thing worked. Back in the 1970s, Cheap Trick looked like a band that should have failed immediately. Robin Zander looked like a rock star. Tom Peterson looked effortlessly cool. Rick Nielsen looked like a cartoon character in a bow tie. And sitting behind them was Bun E Carlos, cigarette hanging from his mouth, barely moving. Looking like a tired accountant who accidentally wandered onto a concert stage. And somehow, it was perfect. Cheap Trick formed in Rockford, Illinois in 1973. This was not Los Angeles or New York. Rockford was a hard factory town. If you wanted to survive there, you worked, and that attitude became the band's identity. Rick Nielsen had already spent years failing in other groups before Cheap Trick finally came together. He understood hooks, image, and business better than almost anybody. Robin Zander brought the voice and the looks. Tom Peterson brought a massive bass sound that made the band heavier than people expected. But Bun E Carlos held everything together. He was not flashy. He did not play giant solos. He barely looked awake half the time. But producers loved him because his timing was frighteningly accurate. Producer Tom Werman later called him the anchor that allowed the band to fly. And he was right. Listen to Surrender. Listen to Dream Police. Listen to I Want You to Want Me Live at Budokan. The drums never overpower the songs. They just lock everything together with this impossible precision. Bun E made complicated songs sound effortless, which is much harder than showing off. The band spent years grinding through clubs and bars before anyone cared. Hundreds of shows, cheap motels, endless driving. They became one of the tightest live bands in America because they had no choice. But here is where things got strange. In America, Cheap Trick struggled. Critics loved them, but mainstream audiences did not know what to make of them. They looked too weird to be heartthrobs, and too melodic to be a heavy metal band. Then Japan changed everything. In 1978, the band arrived in Japan and got treated like the Beatles. Fans screamed at airports, crowds chased their cars, teenagers cried during concerts. Cheap Trick went from struggling Midwest road band to international phenomenon almost overnight. And then came Budokan. The live album Cheap Trick at Budokan was only supposed to be released in Japan. But imported copies started spreading through America, and suddenly radio stations could not stop playing I Want You to Want Me. Cheap Trick finally became stars. But what nobody realized at the time was that the chemistry making the band famous was already starting to crack underneath the surface. For a while, Cheap Trick looked unstoppable. After Budokan exploded, the band suddenly had everything they spent years chasing. Hit records, arena tours, magazine covers. Money finally started coming in. And the strange thing is, the very thing that made Cheap Trick special was how different all four members were from each other. Rick Nielsen was the mastermind. Always thinking, always writing, always hustling. Robin Zander was the frontman audiences instantly locked onto. Tom Peterson brought this huge melodic bass style that gave the band its power pop punch. And Bun E Carlos was the stabilizer, the human metronome sitting in the back, making the chaos sound controlled. But success has a way of exposing problems that struggle hides. By the early 1980s, tensions inside the band were growing. Touring never stopped. Record labels wanted more hits. Management wanted bigger tours. Everybody was exhausted. And then one of the biggest cracks appeared when Tom Peterson left the band in 1980. That shook everything. Peterson was not just the bass player. He was part of the visual identity and sound that made Cheap Trick unique. Suddenly, the chemistry felt different. The band kept going, but something was off. And here is the important part. Through all the lineup changes, industry pressure, and commercial ups and downs, Bun E stayed. He played on every major era of the band. The massive success of The Flame in the late 80s, the rough years when grunge changed rock music completely, the tours, the reunions, the comeback records, Bun E was always there. That is why what happened later shocked fans so much. Because this was not some replacement drummer who joined halfway through the story. This was a founding member, a guy who spent nearly 4 decades building the band from nothing. And unlike a lot of rock drummers, Bun E had a very specific personality fans connected to. He was dry, sarcastic, and almost anti-rock star. While other bands acted larger than life, Bun E looked like he would rather be home watching television. Fans loved that. But behind the scenes, the relationships inside Cheap Trick were getting colder, especially between Bun E Carlos and Robin Zander. Years later, Bun E would hint that the problems exploded over performances in Las Vegas. The band disagreed over scheduling and commitments. Bun E lost the argument. But wait, this next part changes everything. According to Bun E, the split was not really a full band decision. He later said, "One guy doesn't want me there, and the other guys were fine with that." He never publicly named the person directly, but most fans believed he was talking about Robin Zander. And then came the move that made the situation even uglier. In 2010, Cheap Trick quietly replaced Bun E. Carlos with Rick Nielsen's son, Dax Nielsen. Now, to be fair, Dax was a legitimate drummer. This was not some untalented family hire. He had experience and knew the music well. But that did not matter to fans watching this happen in real time, because from the outside, it looked terrible. A founding member gets pushed aside after 37 years, and the replacement just happens to be the guitarist's son. That instantly changed how people saw the band, and the way Cheap Trick handled it only made things worse. There was no emotional farewell, no final tour, no celebration of Bun E's legacy. Just a cold statement saying he was no longer the touring drummer, but remained a band member. That was it. After nearly 4 decades, one of the most recognizable drummers in classic rock basically got turned into an employee nobody wanted to fire directly. At first, Bun E Carlos tried to stay diplomatic. He kept saying he was still technically in Cheap Trick. Maybe things would calm down. Maybe they would work it out. Maybe he would come back. That never happened. Instead, things got colder. Bun E later revealed that after 2012, the band stopped communicating with him about business decisions. Payments allegedly stopped too. And suddenly this quiet band drama turned into a legal war. In 2013, Bun E sued Cheap Trick. Because he was not just an employee, he was a founding member and legal part owner of the band. He had voting rights and ownership stakes tied to everything Cheap Trick earned. That changed the entire situation. Fans assumed the band could simply replace a drummer and move on. But legally, it was much more complicated than that. According to the lawsuit, the band was trying to freeze him out while still benefiting from the company he helped build. Then, Cheap Trick countersued to officially remove him. Think about how brutal that is. A man spends nearly 40 years building one of America's biggest rock bands, and the same band goes to court, trying to erase him from ownership. And here is where it gets wild. Bun E actually started winning. Judges rejected major arguments from the band. Cheap Trick tried getting parts of the lawsuit dismissed, but the courts repeatedly sided with Bun E. The case dragged on for years, and the more details that surfaced, the uglier everything looked. Because underneath all the legal language, this really came down to money. Bun E later admitted that most band breakups boil down to sex, drugs, or money. In Cheap Trick's case, it became money. And fans noticed something else too. The chemistry changed without him. Now, to be fair, Dax Nielsen is a talented drummer. This is not about ability. But Bun E had a specific feel that made Cheap Trick sound like Cheap Trick. His drumming sat slightly behind the beat in a way that made songs groove without falling apart. That feel is incredibly hard to replace. Listen to the Budokan version of I Want You to Want Me. The drums breathe. The song moves like it is barely holding together in the best possible way. Bun E understood exactly when to hold back and when to push forward. Fans could hear the difference after he was gone. Then came the strangest moment in the entire story. In 2016, Cheap Trick entered the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. For one night, the classic lineup reunited. Bun E sat behind the drums again, and the crowd exploded. For a moment, fans thought maybe this was finally the reunion. Maybe the lawsuits were over. Maybe the band realized what they had lost. Then, the show ended. Bun E went home. Cheap Trick went back on tour without him. And just like that, the reunion turned into little more than a photo opportunity. And that is the part that still bothers longtime fans. Because Bun E never completely disappeared from Cheap Trick. Technically, he remained connected to the business after the lawsuit settlement. He kept ownership rights. He even played on occasional recordings afterward. But the real band, the touring band the world recognized, that moved on without him. And what makes the whole thing feel even stranger is how quietly it happened. Usually when famous bands implode, everybody sees it coming. There are public fights, drug problems, tabloid stories. Somebody storms out of an interview. But Cheap Trick handled Bun E. His removal almost like a corporate restructuring. Cold, efficient, quiet. One short statement. One replacement drummer already waiting. Then business as usual. And maybe that is why fans took it so personally, because Bun E was not just another musician in the background. He was part of the identity of Cheap Trick, the cigarette hanging from his mouth, the deadpan expression, the perfect timing. He looked bored while helping create some of the greatest power pop records ever made. That contrast became iconic. Even people who were not hardcore fans recognized him instantly. He was the regular guy surrounded by cartoon rock stars. And somehow, removing him made the band feel less human. But wait, this next part changes how you see the entire story. Even after everything that happened, Bun E kept preserving Cheap Trick's history. He archived old recordings, saved set lists, organized memorabilia, documented concerts. While the band moved forward without him, he became the caretaker of the legacy they built together. Think about how painful that probably was. Watching the group continue without you, while you organize the memories of the years when you were still part of it. These days, Bun E mostly plays local shows and side projects around Illinois. Small gigs, Monday night bands, occasional appearances with friends. Nothing close to the arenas he used to play. And honestly, there is something deeply sad about that. This is a drummer whose playing appeared on millions of records, a founding member of a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band. The guy behind Surrender, Dream Police, and I Want You to Want Me. Now, mostly remembered through old concert footage and classic albums. Meanwhile, Cheap Trick is still touring. The band still makes money, fans still show up, and younger audiences may not even realize there was ever another drummer sitting behind that kit. To them, Dax Nielsen is just part of the band now, but older fans know better, because when they hear those classic records, they hear Bun E is timing all over them. That steady groove holding together Rick Nielsen's chaos, Robin Zander's vocals, and Tom Peterson's massive bass lines. That chemistry was not accidental, and maybe that is the real tragedy here. Cheap Trick did not collapse in some giant explosion. They slowly removed one piece of the machine and kept functioning anyway. The concerts continued, the albums continued, the business survived, but something disappeared, something human. And the strangest part is that Bun E technically won. He kept ownership rights. He protected his financial stake. Legally, he survived the fight. Emotionally, though, the band never recovered, because sometimes keeping the name is not the same thing as keeping the soul. If you go back and watch old footage of Cheap Trick now, something becomes obvious almost immediately. The band only worked because all four personalities balanced each other perfectly. Rick Nielsen was chaos, Robin Zander was charisma, Tom Peterson was cool, and Bun E was restraint. Take away any one of those pieces and the formula changes. And that is why so many fans still see Bun E as firing as the moment Cheap Trick stopped feeling like Cheap Trick. Not because the replacement drummer was bad, not because the songs suddenly became terrible, but because the atmosphere changed, the weird chemistry disappeared. It became more professional, more polished, more controlled. Ironically, that was the exact opposite of what made the band special in the first place. Cheap Trick always felt slightly dangerous because they looked like four completely different people, somehow trapped in the same group. They should not have fit together. That tension created the energy. Once Bun E was gone, part of that tension disappeared too. And maybe the saddest thing is how common stories like this are in rock history. Bands start as friendships, broke musicians chasing a dream together in vans and tiny clubs. Then success turns the band into a corporation. Lawyers get involved. Ownership percentages matter more. Family members enter the business. Suddenly, the group is no longer just music, it becomes contracts, revenue streams, and control. That is exactly what happened here. The drummer who helped build the band from nothing slowly became viewed as replaceable, not because he lacked talent, not because fans stopped loving him, but because the machine realized it could continue operating without him physically sitting behind the drums, at least financially. But what if I told you that fans never fully accepted it? Even today, comment sections under old Cheap Trick videos are filled with arguments about Bun E Carlos. Some people think he was right to sue. Others think he should have quietly walked away. But almost everybody agrees on one thing. The classic lineup was different. You can hear it on Budokan, you can hear it on Surrender, you can hear it on Dream Police, and Ain't That a Shame. The groove had personality. The imperfections actually made the music tighter somehow. That is not easy to replace, and maybe that is why this story still hits people so hard. Because there was no dramatic ending, no final goodbye concert, no emotional reconciliation, just silence. One day Bun E Carlos was the drummer of Cheap Trick, then suddenly he was not. The band kept touring, the business kept moving, and one of the most important members in the group's history quietly faded into the background while the machine rolled forward without him. But those old records still exist, and every time I Want You to Want Me starts playing, Bun E is still there holding the whole thing together with that impossible timing and that expression that always looked like he had somewhere better to be. Cheap Trick survived losing him, but a lot of fans would argue they were never really the same afterward, and honestly, that might be the most painful part of the entire story. Maybe that is the real lesson behind the fall of Cheap Trick. Not every band dies in flames. Sometimes they survive long enough to slowly become something else entirely. Because on paper, Cheap Trick is still successful. They still tour. They still sell tickets. Their songs are still everywhere. Surrender still gets blasted in arenas. I Want You to Want Me still plays on classic rock radio. New generations still discover the band every year. But for a lot of longtime fans, the spirit of Cheap Trick belonged to the original four guys from Rockford, Illinois. The weird chemistry, the tension, the personalities that should never have worked together but somehow created magic. And once Bun E Carlos disappeared from that picture, something changed forever. The craziest part is that Bun E never became some bitter public villain. He never went on a non-stop media tour attacking the band. Most of the time, he sounded disappointed more than angry, like somebody watching an old friendship slowly disappear in real time. That makes the story hit even harder, because after nearly 40 years together, the ending was not explosive. It was quiet. One lawsuit, one replacement, one founding member left sitting at home while the band he helped build kept moving without him. And maybe that is why fans still argue about it today. Not because they are debating contracts or business law. They are debating identity. What actually makes a band the band? Is it the songs, the name, the people? Or is it the chemistry you cannot recreate once it is gone? Cheap Trick found out the hard way. They kept the brand, but many fans believe they lost the soul.